Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Janae, if you didn't know, and today's video is another missing persons case. So if you're ready, let's go. Alright, so the case that I'm covering today is actually the first missing persons case that I've covered that is going to be outside of the US. And that is the case of Tatianna Bijou Cuevas. And this case is quite different also outside of the fact that it's not a US case than any of the other cases that I've done. And obviously, as I tell y'all the details of the case, y'all will see why I say that it's a little bit different than any other missing persons case that I've done on this channel before. Tatianna Bijou Cuevas was born on August 18, 2012. Her parents, Kristen Allen and John Varga Cuevas. And right from the gate, like straight out of the womb, Tatianna was such a little fighter. She was actually born a couple weeks premature and she had to stay in the ICU, well, the NICU, for quite a while before she was able to go home with her parents. And from the second she was born, her mother just absolutely adored that child. I mean, most mothers do, but you know what I'm saying? Like, she just saw the fight in her baby and she just was in awe of her child just straight out the gate. The fact that she came into this world fighting so much, and the fact that she ultimately became a survivor of all of the illnesses that she had to overcome at such a small age. Now, the relationship between Tatianna's mom and dad, it was somewhat of a toxic relationship. And for the sake of her daughter, a couple months after Tatianna was born, Kristen ended up calling off the relationship between her and John. But that didn't mean that Kristen wouldn't allow John to still be a part of Tatianna's life, because that was the case at all. She just knew that the situation between she and John wasn't good, and it wasn't conducive to the growth, the health, the mental stability, none of that of Tatianna. And so, like I said, she broke it off. Now, I don't know the circumstances behind Kristen getting full custody of Tatianna, but she did in 2017. However, with the full custody, Kristen still allowed John to have visitations. So now it's 2018 and Tatianna is about to start school. And the school that she's about to go to is a French immersion school. And because she was going to a French immersion school, this opened up the door for John to ask Kristen, would she allow him to take Tatianna out of the country to France and Germany? Since she was going to be going to a French immersion school, he kind of felt like this would be a perfect opportunity for him to take her to France, where she could hear the language, immerse herself in the language. However, Kristen was a little skeptical about this. She didn't feel comfortable allowing John to take Tatianna out of the country, as a lot of mothers would. Not to say that the dad isn't capable of taking care of the child, but a mother knows that ain't nobody gonna take care of her baby like she is gonna take care of her baby, even if it is the dad, right? So she was a little hesitant about this. So Kristen talks to a lawyer because she like, well, what should I do? Can I prevent him from taking her? Because I do have full custody, like, what's up, basically. And the lawyer basically told her that she can deny him to take Tatianna out of the country. However, it wouldn't be a good look on her, because he could then turn around and say that he's being denied the privileges to take care of his daughter or see his daughter. So reluctantly, Kristen agreed to let John take Tatianna out of the country, and they were supposed to go to Germany and France for 2 weeks in July, at the end of July to the beginning of August. However, Kristen had a couple of stipulations before she would allow John to take Tatianna. And the stipulations that she put in place was that John had to provide her an itinerary of where they would be going. He had to provide her a contact number so that she could contact Tatianna at any point, and she also wanted Tatianna to call her as soon as they landed in Paris. And John agreed. He said, okay. And so on July 20th of 2018, John texted an itinerary of their trip to Kristen. And on the 22nd of July, Kristen agreed to said itinerary, and he also provided her a contact number. So the date that John and Tatianna were set to leave was on July 29th, and everything went off without a hitch. John picked up Tatianna, or Kristen dropped her off to John, and they boarded the plane in their hometown of Brampton, Ontario, Canada, and headed off to Paris, France. And once they landed in Paris, Kristen actually did receive a phone call from the contact number that John had provided. However, she missed the call. And when she went to call back, she didn't get an answer. But because Kristen received this phone call, she didn't think too much about it. She just figured that they was out. She just figured that they was just probably out doing their thing in Paris, having a good time. And she really didn't think too much about him not answering when she called back. So August 12th, 2018 rolls around, and this is the day that Tatianna and John are supposed to return home. However, Kristen doesn't hear from John at all. She calls the contact number and she tries to pretty much just get in contact with him so that she can retrieve Tatianna back, but nothing happens. She don't get a call back. She don't get through to him, like nothing. And at first she kind of just chalk it up to like maybe a delayed flight, something going wrong, but she don't really think too much about it. But when 2 days passes and she don't hear nothing and she can't get in contact with them, Kristen decides that it's time to file a police report. So Kristen files this police report, and during the investigation, they find that on August 4th, there is a sighting, a confirmed sighting of Tatianna and John at an airport in Togo, Africa. It's a country in West Africa, and that is the last sighting that there has ever been of little Tatianna. And Kristen thinks that this is a case of parental abduction. And because it's international, the FBI is now involved. So on that day, on July 29, 2018, that was the last day that Kristen seen her baby girl. She was only 5 years old. And Kristen had so many big plans for Tatianna. When Tatianna returned home, they were going to go to a family birthday party in, I think it was the Bahamas or somewhere in the Caribbean, to celebrate one of their family members' 90th birthday along with Tatiana's 6th birthday. And it was never able to happen because Tatianna never came home. And so now they are looking for Tatianna, but not only are they looking for Tatianna, they are looking for John Cuevas as well, who goes by a couple different names. He goes by Dr. John Cuevas, John Cueva, Carlos Cueva, I think it's Carlos Cueva, it's John Varga, Carlos Varga. There's so many different aliases that he goes by, and if I can, I'll try to list them all somewhere around here because I can't remember them all off the top of my head. But he is an optometrist by trade. So, and literally they could be anywhere, like anywhere in the world. And this is why this is so important, because this is an international case. Little Tatianna could be here in America somewhere. She could be in Africa, Australia, Europe. She could be absolutely anywhere. And my hope is that she is somewhere and that John didn't do something sinister just to spite. Well, I mean, he did take Tatianna and never return her. But there's also the possibility that something might have happened to John as well. Like, there's so many variations to what may have happened. But whatever did happen, whether John abducted her and just took off and never came back, whether something happened to Tatianna and John, it doesn't really matter, because the point is, this mother, Kristen, she is heartbroken. She does not know where her little girl is. And literally, like, she don't even know if she's even back in Canada at this point. She knows absolutely nothing. So this is where we come in and we push this story and we share this video and we share Tatianna's photo. We talk about this. We do whatever we can to get her face out there, to get her and John's face out there, so that Tatianna can be returned home to her family. She has a little brother who, he was just about 1.5 years old when she left, but he still remembers her. He still talks about her and asks about her. Everybody in her life is missing her, and it's not fair. It's just not fair. And I feel like I'm getting a little emotional because she was literally born a day after my son. Like, me and Kristen were probably in the hospital at the same time, giving birth to these little people. And my son is 10 years old now. But I really do get so emotional because I couldn't imagine not knowing where my baby is. I really just couldn't. And I can't even begin to fathom what Kristen is feeling right now. Like every single day of her life when she wake up and her baby's just not there. And she don't know. She just don't know. So if you guys could please share this video. Y'all ain't even gotta like or comment it. Just share it so that somebody else, somebody that you know can see this video. Somebody that might be able to help, you know? And here I am just putting a couple of flyers in various different languages that were made for Tatianna's disappearance because, like I said, there's no way that we know where she is. So all of these posters have been made in various different languages just in case she is in one of these countries who speaks this particular language. They will be able to see these flyers and potentially help in bringing Tatianna back home to Canada. Yeah, so with all of that, I'm going to say thank you all so very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.